My name is Davin Chitwood with Kirkham IronTech. Today, we're going to talk about your first line of cybersecurity defense. Now, we usually have my colleagues, Kinsey and Tom, on here as well, but they won't be here today. Tom's out sick and Kinsey's traveling home. And so I will be the main one talking and answering all your questions. So once again, feel free to reach out at any time. A little bit about me. So I am the IT and cybersecurity consultant here at Kirkham IronTech. Now, Tom, our founder and CEO, he's usually on our deeper dives with us as well. But make sure to tune in next time if you want to catch Tom. But what I do for organizations is I partner with, or me and a company will meet. And overall, my main job is to evaluate what the company or organization currently has in place regarding their IT and security environment. And from that evaluation, and we do hold an assessment as well, I take all of that information and I meet with my IT team and security specialist, and we review the current state of your organization. And then from that, reveal any potential vulnerabilities or gaps that you all may have that are keeping you from peak performance regarding your IT and security investments. And so from that, we make recommendations and advise on overall how to create a security first culture within your organization, as well as reach peak performance, which I know all of you are striving to do. Now, from that, of course, if it makes sense for us to implement any of these tools, or recommendations, that's what we can do as well. But we do have a little, I guess you could call it a different or special offering than most organizations. So what does Kirkham IronTech do? Well, we have lots of different types of services that we offer to all organizations, but it can really be broken down into three categories, falling into one, strictly cybersecurity. I know with running a business, you have multiple things that are on your mind and that you have to focus on. And so with cybersecurity becoming a necessity regarding running any business, what we do is take that load off your shoulders and manage all the cybersecurity that you may need for you. And that includes responding to any incidents that may occur as well. Now, we also have managed IT capabilities, where of course we can take care of the security for you, but also provide the best of the best IT experience and services for you as well. And now when we talk about peak performance regarding IT, that's what we allow and help companies achieve, is overall peak performance regarding their IT investments. Now, what's a little bit different is the co-managed services, and that may not be something that you hear about often, but what we do there is you may have an IT provider in place already, or you may have someone that you've been working with for a very long time regarding your IT, or you have in-house IT. Well, what we do is we partner with your current IT provider and allow you access to a larger array or pool of different IT tools and cybersecurity tools and services, of course, in a cost-efficient manner. And overall, that helps you increase productivity, of course, increase or enhance your overall security posture as an organization. Regarding efficiency, increase efficiency, allow you the tools and allow your employees the tools that they need to be as efficient as possible within their daily operations. And with that, of course, comes the customer experience and overall customer support that's needed in today's time, especially regarding IT and security. Now, if you have any questions regarding what I do or what we do at Kirkham IronTech, feel free to put that in a chat or reach out at any time, and I will be happy to talk more with you, but also see overall how we can help you out best. Now to the meat and potatoes. Why are we here today? Well, cybersecurity threats, they are growing and they are changing every single year, every single month, and really every single day. And as technology advances and our dependence or overall reliance on utilizing technology in our day-to-day operations in our business, from Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and how we depend on technology so much and how it can so easily be taken away or manipulated or overall held for ransom. That's why we are here today. Cyber criminals or cyber threat actors, they understand how much we rely on technology. And with how behind most organizations are regarding putting the proper cybersecurity tools in place, those preventative measures, because of how behind most companies are, cyber criminals are having easy paydays, because if a cyber criminal is able to interrupt your day-to-day operations for just 2 days, you being down for 2 days, there's a huge cost to that. And if the cyber criminals can just get a piece of that cost, or really they're taxing a lot more regarding overall ransoms, which is we'll talk about later, but because they can so easily manipulate your technology and overall hold it for ransom, that's where the business of cybercrime comes into play, because everyone uses technology for their business, and if it can be taken away easily, there's a price associated with that. And that's why we're seeing such a huge increase in overall cyber threats for all organizations. Now, right at the bottom, you'll see that bottom quote. And this is something that is, at least I love to talk about, and kind of goes into another term of cyber fatigue. But regarding cybersecurity, it's now a necessity regarding just any business in your day-to-day operations. But overall, it's very new to some organizations as well. There's a difference between IT and cybersecurity. And most companies have had IT or had IT providers for ever running their business, but they may not have had to have cybersecurity yet. And now you have to. And so there's so many different tools and services and antiviruses and all types of different cybersecurity tools that you could throw at your organization. But of course, that's costly. And what most organizations are looking for now is an efficient way to figure out, okay, what do I actually need? What is necessary to protect my company? And now there's lots of different tools, like I said, and today we're going to talk about that first layer of defense regarding protecting your employees and making sure they have the tools and training to secure your organization. But before we really dive into that first layer of defense, let's get a couple of misconceptions out of the way regarding cybersecurity and overall cyber threats. Now, you'll see a few of these misconceptions here, and a lot of you may have these same thoughts, same thoughts about your organization regarding cybersecurity and overall protecting your company, and of course your employees and clients. The first one I want to point out is I'm too small. No one is targeting me. I don't really need to worry about a cyber attack, because who's going to be trying to attack my maybe one-person law firm, or 3-person accounting firm? Well, that is, of course, one of the main misconceptions that we talk about every single day. And the way you have to think about it is, like as I was talking about before, cyber crime, it is now a criminal organization. They are thinking about dollars and conversion rates, and they are not, I don't want to say discriminating, but they are not pinpointing out a specific industry and a specific business in a specific city. That's not what they're doing anymore. As we talked about before, how cyber threats and technology have adapted and changed. When a cyber criminal sends out maybe a phishing email, they're sending it out to hundreds of thousands of organizations. It could be 100,000 lawyers that they're sending it out to. And you could fall into it, even if you're just a one-person law firm, you could fall into that 100,000 plus email spam that they've sent out. And if you were just one of your employees clicks on that email, maybe 1% of the at-risk lawyers who've received the email. Maybe just 1% click on the link, and now they're being held for ransom. Out of 100,000 emails, that 1% is all that cyber criminal is looking for, because that's going to be a good payday. That's going to be a very good payday. And because, like I said, how behind we are on cybersecurity, or most organizations are on security, when maybe they get 10 one-person firms to click on a success and have a successful cyber attack in a day, that payday could be in the 50, 100,000, 200,000 pay range, just because they thought they were too small. And so the days of thinking I'm too small, it won't happen to me, it's just an easy misconception. And with cyber threats changing, that's going to be a bigger and bigger misconception, but you're going to see a lot more people affected. Another misconception that we hear about often is my employees are smarter than that. They're not going to fall for an email asking to buy 100 gift cards, or they're not going to fall for an email asking them to change their password real quick. Well, that's a very common misconception, but the facts are that 92% of successful cyber attacks are from human error. And when we talk about human error, that's where someone may have been in a hurry and they're going through the emails. Oh yeah, let me click on this real quick. And the link ended up causing a ransomware attack for that organization. Or maybe they got a phishing email that looked like it was coming from the CEO. Said, hey, I need you to change some account information or banking information. They were in a hurry real fast, sent over that information, and then didn't think about it after that. Those are common errors that can happen to anyone, but because they happen so commonly, there is, of course, a way to address this risk, this threat, and of course, that's why we are here today, is to talk about that first line of defense regarding cyber attacks, which is your employees. If they are the main reason that that companies are going out of business because of successful cyber attacks, you want to make sure you have something in place to address that vulnerability. And this doesn't mean that your employees are super cyber criminals trying to hack your company. It's just that people make mistakes. It's inevitable. And you have to lower that risk to not become part of that 92%. There are steps you can take, and of course, that's what we'll talk about today. The last misconception I want to talk about, and this is close to my heart because I come from an insurance background, is a lot of people say, hey, I have cyber insurance. That's fine. That's all I need. If something happens, they'll pay it, we'll move on, and we'll go about our day. Well, the next fact is that cyber insurance companies took a huge financial hit in the past couple of years simply from paying these cyber attack claims, paying these ransoms that these companies were experiencing. And what happened is that cyber insurance companies, one, raised premiums. We saw premiums regarding cyber insurance policies skyrocket in like the 200 to 300% range. But also, cyber insurance companies are creating or implementing or requiring more strict cyber or preventative cybersecurity tools that you have to have in place. And if you don't have them in place, then you're not compliant with the policy's requirements. And so when you do go to submit that claim regarding a cyber attack, they can easily say no because maybe you don't have continuous cybersecurity training in place, or maybe you don't have an endpoint detection and response tool in place. And so solely relying on a cyber insurance policy just doesn't cut it anymore. You have to make sure you have the preventative measures in place before even thinking about cyber insurance. Now, the list goes on and on of all types of different misconceptions regarding cybersecurity and overall cyber threats. But what you really need to understand is what's at risk as well. Well, like I said, all organizations are at risk. And it's not a matter of if you're going to experience a cyber attack. It's a matter of when. And so, like I said, cybercrime is a business, and cyber attacks are becoming a lot more easier for really anyone to partake in as cyber threats have advanced. And like I said, we're seeing attacks increase day by day, and they're becoming more sophisticated with advances in in technology such as AI, where they're able to curate more personal phishing emails, and just overall speeding up the process of creating a cyber attack for anyone and everyone. Now, when we talk about what's at risk, of course, there's your reputation, there's downtime, but I want to walk you through a process of example, actually, of what happened to someone who's now a client of ours, a security client of ours, and they were, of course, looking for security when this actual attack happened. But there was a one-person law firm, and they thought they were too small to be attacked. And what happened was they were working with a client, sent them an invoice, and what they didn't know is that their email, their business email, had been compromised. I believe the password was breached, and what happened is the cyber criminal had just been looking at the email, seeing what was going on, and once that invoice was sent, it was able to jump in and change the account information on that invoice, where the client's client then paid the invoice, sent the money to the wrong person, and that lawyer that experienced that cyber attack was out. I believe it was $15,000, $20,000. Now, to a one-person law firm, that's a lot. And so thinking of the days that it's not going to happen to me, it's just an easy misconception. And overall, you have to have cybersecurity in place to overall just a part of business. But regarding what you should really be concerned about, such as loss of revenue, reputation, there's a lot more at risk than just an overall price of paying a ransom. We talked about cyber insurance, how insurance rates are skyrocketing. And if you experience a cyber attack, it's going to be extremely hard for you to even be considered for a policy after that. Reputation loss. How can you put a price on your reputation that you may have you've been building for the last 20 plus years? How would that affect your company? If you were a client with a company that just had a breach and your information was compromised, what would you do as that client? Most likely you'd move business, but just think about that. Put yourself in their shoes. Of course, money's an issue. Think about downtime. What's the price per hour of you being down maybe for a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week? What's the price on that? How does that affect your employees? How does that affect your clients as well? Another thing is trust. Goes with reputation, but you can maybe guess this, but what takes years to build that can be taken away in seconds? And that is trust. And what's the price tag for trust that you've been building for all these years? And how do you gain that back? All of these concerns about what's at risk from having a cyber attack is one of the main reasons of why 60% of businesses that have a successful cyber attack, they go out of business in the next 2 years. And most likely, they didn't have that first layer of security that is essential today. Well, what is that first layer? How do you prepare for all of these risks? How do you prevent this from happening to you? It all comes into building and really creating a layered security approach or a layered security strategy to overall securing your organization. And really the best advice, if you don't take anything away from this webinar today, the best advice I can give you is, if you have a company in 2023, what you have to do and what you need to start doing now is begin building your layers of cybersecurity. And today we're strictly going to focus on the first layer of security, which is continuous cybersecurity training, overall employee training. but there are a lot more layers, and you can see 4 total here that one we'll discuss and have discussed in other deeper dives. But if you have questions about these layers, please feel free to ask any questions at any time, and I'll be happy to touch on them at the end of the webinar. But jumping into the first layer, employee training. Why employee training is so important? Well, one, like I mentioned before, human error is inevitable. It's the number one threat, or if you want to call it vulnerability, to your company. And overall, it has to be addressed. It must be. But the only way to address the vulnerability of human error is through continuous security training. Now, you'll see here that 66% of IT providers reported phishing emails as the top ransomware delivery method. Now, have anyone here, have you received maybe a recent phishing email, or maybe you've had one in the past, or know a friend that's had one? Phishing attacks are getting better and better every single day. And with, like I mentioned before, the advancement in AI, it's allowing cybercriminals to create more personal emails at scale. For example, we were messing around in AI, and all you had to do is ask, where does Davin work and what does he do? And it'll pull up, works at Kirkham IronTech. He's an IT and cybersecurity consultant. And with that, someone could take that information and create a phishing email specific to each of your employees within the organization and send it out in bulk. And it overall just impacts the click rate for that phishing email, as it's more personal. There's no more typos in those emails because of how sophisticated these phishing attacks are becoming. And so this threat of phishing emails in human error is increasing. And that's one of the main reasons that cybersecurity training is extremely important. The best part about implementing security training is that just by implementing the security training, you'll see, in most companies have seen, a 64% increase on those click rates, on those phishing email click rates. And overall, seeing a 37-fold return on investment by implementing that cybersecurity training. Now, those click rates, that's something that with a proper security tool, you can monitor. And what we do for our clients is we have them on this training program where an employee will get a weekly or monthly training, but they'll also be sent simulated phishing emails. So if an employee does click on this simulated email, then instead of your company experiencing a ransomware attack, now they just, it'll pop up, hey, you've been phished by Kirkham IronTech. This is how we got you. This is what to look out for next time. And they just go through that quick training to overall increase that improvement on the overall phishing click rates. Now, the main takeaway I want to make sure you have from this is, if you don't have security training in place right now, that is one of the first steps that you need to take in developing that multi-layer security strategy for your company. And if you have questions on maybe what the best training program is, or how you should evaluate a training program, please feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to go through that with you. But what can you expect from a training, an employee training? What should you be looking for in a training program? Well, one, and this is sometimes often overlooked or not seen as a priority. Of course, one, you have at least the baseline security training where employees are interacting and participating in this training once a week or once a month. But another aspect to a training program, or overall security tool partner with that training program, is dark web monitoring. Now, what is that? Say you have multiple passwords or credentials that you're using in your day-to-day operations. But if they're breached, they could be used or sold on the dark web to tons of cyber criminals that want to use that. And so if you're not continuously monitoring for any information that's been breached or compromised and put on the dark web, that's another risk that is coming from your employees. They may have a password that they're using that's been breached for a long time. And if they're not aware of that practice or that overall method of reusing that password is just another threat that you need to watch out for. But the security training should also include that simulated phishing emails that we talked about. Your employees should at least be getting one once a month, and it should be random. So they're not just waiting for that specific phishing email down the road. Of course, the training, but also with this training, you need to begin implementing these security policies and procedures that require these employees to participate in this training. And really, this helps create that security first culture that you're wanting in your organizations. And it really allows the company to walk the walk and talk the talk of course, starting with leadership where, yes, security is important with us. We have these policies and procedures in place because security is important with us. And we want everyone, all employees, to participate in this training to overall give us the best chance and eliminate as many threats as possible regarding cybersecurity. Now, there are multiple different layers of cybersecurity that you need to implement, but starting with this one cybersecurity training is that first layer that you have to have to overall combat human error. That's inevitable. That's going to happen. But once you have that in place, you're able to track and evaluate the tools and how the training is going. Of course, from there, you can make more movements to improve your security posture. And then I do want to wrap up on overall cyber insurance. I know it's something that we mentioned briefly, but overall, it is something important that after you've implemented the training and after you've implemented the security measures, the preventive measures, I would recommend looking into cyber insurance. Now, that's something that I would recommend going to a cybersecurity specialist to say, hey, I have these preventative measures in place. Now I'm ready to take the next step to review and look into cyber insurance. But before, if you don't have cybersecurity in place yet, make sure, or cybersecurity training in place yet, make sure that's just one of the things you do before even considering cyber insurance, because it is being required by all insurance companies, almost every single one, to have cybersecurity training in place before you have your policy as well. Now, we talked about the first line of defense regarding cybersecurity, and that's human error, and making sure you have the proper training for your employees to eliminate that vulnerability. But overall, there are tons of other layers and other preventative measures you can put in place to partner with cybersecurity training, because training is not the only layer, but the main thing you need to do is be proactive. Take action regarding securing your business and your organization, and look to start immediately or as soon as possible implementing cybersecurity training. Now, if you're not too sure what all else you need besides that continuous cybersecurity training, I would recommend looking into having a cybersecurity and risk assessment done. That's something that we offer for free. We do that for any and all organizations. And like I said before, that is where I'll be meeting with you and partnering with you to evaluate what you have currently, reveal any potential vulnerabilities, and then we will create a specific security plan for you and your organization to address any of those vulnerabilities that we may have found. Now, if you have questions regarding cybersecurity training or about our free assessment, the free assessment takes about two 1-hour meetings where we'll gain the information, evaluate with my team, and then of course, the next meeting is where we really dig in and talk about our recommendations. But it's about an hour long. You don't have to have your IT provider on that meeting. We won't get too technical, but we also, it's a non-intrusive assessment, so we won't be downloading or trying to upload anything onto your network. It's very simple and easy, but overall, a great way to start securing your organization. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via email. Feel free to reach out at the phone number below. And overall, I look forward to talking to you soon. We have these every single month these deeper dive webinars. If there's a specific topic you'd like to hear about or something you want to make sure me and Tom talk about in the future, feel free to send an email or just ask at any time, and we'll be happy to get that done for you soon. Thank you so much.